Welcome to rpgamepire. I'm David. Thank you for joining me in this how to play video of Startropolis, a 3D space station building game. Now we backed this on Kickstarter, and so we're going over the core game only. We do have the expansion, and if we get 25 likes, we'll do a playthrough and a review and a how to play with the expansion. So if you haven't had a chance yet, please check out our review and playthrough of the basic game. So I'm going to show you how to play and set up the game for 2 players. So here you have your revenue track here. You put the board here. You're going to put the 4 Civic modules here that anybody can buy at any time. The round tracker will be here. And so since we're playing with a 2-player game, we're going to go to 7 rounds. But if you were playing a 3-player game, you'd go 6 rounds. And a 4-player game, you'd go 4 rounds. You'd put all the modules here, and you'll see that there's a few missing, which I'll explain in a minute. Here are your credit tokens. There's actually a lot more that come with the game. But for a 2-player game, you only need about this much. There actually are 4 races, but I showed 2 here, and here are the revenue trackers. So each race will start off with 0 revenue, so I'm just going to put them here for now. And let's say I'm this person here, and Julie's this person, but for the core game, you don't have any race abilities. You do get abilities in the expansion. You're going to use these clips to keep track of the value of cards, which will be appearing here in a moment. Here are your reference cards. You'll see these are the basic reference cards and for the basic game, and here's for the expansion. So each player will get one of these. And then here's a core module that you're going to build on. And since we're playing with 2 players, one person will randomly get the first card, and a second player will get the last card. So you just shuffle these up and then deal them out. Again, in a 3 or 4-player game, you would have more cards. But you'll see that there's a track here. So let me show you what cards are going to go there. So you'll see that there are, in a 2-player game, you're going to remove 2 solar power modules and a luxury module. So these are removed, and it doesn't matter which ones you remove. I just decided to pick those, so those are gone. And you'll see here are the market center module, supply module, the habitation module, a solar power module, and a luxury model. And you see that an anatomy of a card is, it's going to tell you what its revenue is, depending on, for instance, the number of connections. So if you can get 4 connections to this module, you'll get 8 credits, or 8 million credits each turn. And it costs 7 credits to acquire. Then you see here the supply module. If you have it attached to one module or 2 different modules, it will be worth 3 million. But if you can have it connected to the same type, for instance, if I could connect it to 2 market modules, it will give me 7 credits a turn. And then here is the habitation module. Again, if you have different connections, so that's the key here. It doesn't matter if you have 2 market modules and a supply module, that's only 2 different connections. So you'll see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 different modules here. If you can have all 4 type connected to this, you can get up to 9 million credits. And you'll show what it's worth by attaching this to keep track. So you'll just slide it under. So the first time you place it, it's probably only going to be generate 1 credit a turn. Now the solar panels, the more you have, so in a 2-player game, you're only going to be able to get 4 of these. So you could possibly get all 4, and each one would be worth 6. So if you had all 4, it would be worth 6, 12, 18, 24. That's how much income it would generate if you were to get it by the 4th turn. But that would be unlikely to happen. Then here's a luxury module. So this is where you can mess with an opponent. It's worth 6 million if it's by itself, only connected to one other attachment. But if I want to make the revenue go down for a player, I can attach another module to it. So again, it simulates the fact that these people in the luxury module don't want to be next to other modules. So that's where the player interaction is that you can mess people over by connecting things that they don't want connected to the modules they own. And that's why you have different colors, is to keep track. So if I have this module, you know I have the yellow module, and Julie might have the orange module. So you take all these, you mix them up. Again, Julie's this player. Here's her sheet here to keep track of what's going on. She's going to be the first player, which means she's going to purchase first and then attach her module last. So I'll just put that there. So now I'm shuffling these cards. This is the last part of the setup. It's actually very quick to set up. Oh, by the way, I got to go over the Civic modules. I've gone over the other. How many do we have here again? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I went over the other 5. The Civic module, I'll show in a minute what that does. So you create your draw pile here, and you lay out 6. So the first 2 that will be here doesn't cost any additional credits to acquire, but you can rush delivery on the next 4 if you pay enough credits. So this would normally cost 5 credits to acquire, but because it's in this spot, it would cost an extra 2. If you really want this one in the end, it would cost 5 plus 10. So this would go here. Now, the core module, I haven't gone over yet. This is considered a wild module. So, for instance, if I purchased this supply module, I find the right color, and I attach it, it's considered a wild piece, which means that if I attach anything else to it, it will be a match. So, in other words, it will be 2 like modules. So here I have a habitation module with the core module, and because the core module is wild, I would have 2 habitation modules for the purposes of this connection, so which means it would give me 7 credits. Now let's say it was attached like this. Say this was built first. And then I had, let's say Julie attached a market module here on purpose, just to mess me up so I wouldn't get the advantage of having 2 of the same module. So she probably would rotate it like this. So I say I own the habitation module and the supply module, and Julie comes in and attaches this market module. So now she messed me up because now I have 2 different attachments. I missed my opportunity to get the same modules attached, so now it's still only going to be worth 3 million. Now if I were able to place another habitation module there and Julie did not place that one there, then it would be worth 7 if I were able to get another habitation module here. But anyways, that's what you're going to be doing, is you're going to be attaching different modules to the core module to increase your revenue each turn. So as I need to go over here, the Civic module. So now this is an interesting rule here. It takes a little bit getting used to. If you want to acquire this, depending on what position you are in the game. So if you are, it says right here, if you're in the first position in the game, it will give you 6 credits at the end of the revenue phase. However, if you're in last place, and the reason this turn order will change depending on who earns more money. So if you're in last place, you're going to get minus 3 credits. So it's really, this is kind of a catch-up mechanic that people can buy. See, it's very cheap, only costs 3, and it can give you a lot of income. However, you got to be careful if you have too many of these and you're in last place on the turn order, you'll actually lose money. So why, when do these change hands here, first and last? Right now we just did it randomly. Well, depending on the revenue track, let's say I have 6 revenue and Julie has 4. So I would get the last place because I'm in first position. In other words, I'm ahead of everybody, and Julie would get first position. In other words, she'd get to purchase first because she's in last place. Now, if she was on top, because that can happen, she would still be in the first position. Because that can happen where I do my revenue phase first, and then Julie goes next and calculates her, and she's on top of me. She would be first in position. She would be considered last in terms of revenue, but first in terms of an order. So this actually matters now, because if she were to purchase this on her turn, she'd get 6. But let's say she jumps ahead, okay, and then now we switch. She jumps ahead here, and I'm in last place, she'd be in, because she's ahead in revenue, she would be in last in turn order, I'd be first in turn order, so now this module would be worth -3 on the following turn. So you got to be careful when you acquire these. It's a great way to catch up, but if you zoom ahead, they're going to be negative points in a 2-player game. And it could be that way in a 3 or 4-player game. So again, for this, I think I had Julie, I don't remember if she was last or not, it doesn't matter. All right, so let's take a look at the turn order. We have it set up here. If you look on page 8 of the rule book, you see that the purchase phase, and you'll see that I'm the first one to purchase because I have the first card here, but I'll be the last to attach. Now that does matter. And then we attach, and then we do revenue. So let's model that here just a little bit. So, oh, I forgot one more thing. Each player gets 14 credits. So here's my 14. And then Julie will get her 14 credits. So here's Julie's area right here. She's going to purchase last, but then also get to attach first. And then here's my situation here. Here's my little cheat sheet. Again, it doesn't really matter for the basic game. The only reason you would keep this out is to remember whose revenue tokens is to remind you of whose revenue token goes with the correct player. So again, I'm going to purchase first but attach last. So I take a look at what's available here. At this stage in the game, I don't want to spend a lot of money. I want to get the most income as possible and maybe set myself up to get more. So I'm just going to purchase the supply module. These are both worth the same. They're worth 5. So I purchase the orange one. I don't attach it yet. So I just put it here because you can decide not to attach it on the turn you buy it. You can save it for the following turn to attach it. And that is one of the strategies. So I haven't attached it yet, but I do have my clip ready. It did cost me 5 here. So I buy it. Now these slide down. And Julie's going to go, you know what, I don't want to do a supply module right now. I'm going to buy a habitation module. So she's going to spend 5 for that. She turns in a 10, gets change. She buys it, and this slides down. So now we do the attachment phase. And because Julie is last in turn order, she bought last, but now she's going to attach first. So she's going to take this, and she does want to attach it. So she's going to attach it to the core module here. So she'll take it. Doesn't matter where, in this case, where it goes. Now it will matter, again, if it was a luxury module or if it was a solar module. So she takes her marker here. It's only attached to one different connection. So that's 1 million only right now because it's only attached to the core module. Okay, so she goes up 1 here on the track. So she didn't get a lot of income this turn. Now I go, because I'm last, I was first to purchase, but I'm last to attach. Now I could attach this to Julie. You can attach to other players' pieces, but see, that would help her income go up. So if I were to do that, she would have 2 different attachments. So let's say I model that there. This is why you don't calculate revenue right away. Let's say I did that, she would have 2 different attachments and she would go up to 3 million. So I don't want to help her with that. So in fact, I shouldn't even be showing that right now because again, I could have done that and it would have helped her get more income. So instead, I'm going to go in a different spot. I'm just going to go over here. I attach it here. And hopefully, Julie doesn't take that spot for me. Well, if she does, she would actually help me. So it's actually a good move to get supply modules right away and attach it to the core module because of the wild function. So I only have 1 attachment right now. So right now, the supply module gives me 3 million or 3 credits. So I mark that right there. And that ends the first turn. So we do the revenue phase. I have 3, Julie has 1. So I would get 3 credits, Julie would get 1 credit. We add it to our total. So I put it down here. Here's my total money. And you would keep this secret. Right now we're playing it open. So Julie gets 1 credit. Now we recalculate turn order. I have the most revenue, so I'm going to be first player. Let's see here. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry, I'm not first player. This is given I'm the last player because I'm ahead. So I get the last card, and Julie, since she's behind, she'll get to purchase first. So she'll put this here. So then we move up the turn tracker, and we're basically going to buy 7 modules through the game. You don't necessarily have to. Let's see, do you have to buy one? That's a good question. I haven't even thought about this before. Do you have to buy one? Okay, you may choose 1 of 3 options. Purchase a module, purchase a Civic module, or decline a purchase and gain 5 credits. So you can not purchase anything and just get 5 credits. Because the object of the game is to have the most credits by the end of the game. This keeps track right here. I could have 45 credits income, and Julie can have 50. But at the end of the game, we're going to count up the total number of credits we have. Let's say I have, at the end of the game, this much. That's 60, 90. And Julie has 30, this much, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 70 versus my 90, I would win. It doesn't matter where we're at on the revenue track. That just tells us how much revenue we get each turn. So you're trying to buy pieces to the space station, make it most profitable, increase your revenue, and that way don't spend too much of your income, so that way at the end of the game you have the most left. So the only other thing that I'd want to go over is the solar panel, because we just take turns, up to 7 turns, and then we count the most revenue. So one thing that it can be difficult to understand is that when you attach a solar module, nothing can be above it. So right here, nothing is blocking its light. Okay? So if you look on the screen, it's above everything else. But if I were to put it here, this would be an illegal play, meaning that the supply module would be blocking out the solar panel, so you couldn't place it there. So this is a way to stop people from expanding. For instance, I could put it right here, and it would basically screw up the possibility of anybody putting anything there. It would be harder to even put something out here because it would be above it. So if a player were to do this, they would lock out this spot and this spot, causing people to have to attach on the bottom. So you got to be really careful how you place solar panels. You can use it to your advantage, or if you don't place it right, it can mess you up. So again, you play as many rounds depending on the number of players. The player with the most credits wins. Now there is some tie-breaking rules. So let me go over those real quick. Okay, so the player with the most credits in hand after the final revenue phase wins the game. In case of a tie, the player with the highest income. So that would matter. Let's say Julie and I tied, but because she had a higher revenue total, she would break that tie. However, in the rare case that the game is still tied, the tied players should total up the purchase prices of their own modules. The player who has spent the most wins. So that's how you play Startropolis, the basic game. Please check out the playthrough and the review. And again, if we get 25 likes, we will do another series of videos with the expansion. I'm David. Thank you for watching, and this is rpgamepire.